Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, 2 men charged for receiving stolen property. 2 men have been charged with receiving stolen property and a conspiracy to receiving stolen property following an incident in Mactown District, Pimento Hill, Manchester last Friday. Charged are 37-year-old technician Andre Dixon, otherwise known as Jeff, of Mactown District, Pimento Hill, and the 27-year-old Odin Needham, otherwise known as Chapo or Pigeon, of Magnol Street, Longville Park, Clarendon, and the Somerset in Manchester. According to reports from the Mandeville Police, between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., a police team acting on information visited Dixon's house. A search was conducted, and the 6 lithium-ion batteries, which were identified as properties of 2 telecommunication service providers, were found. Dixon later led the lawmen to Needham's house after he told them that Needham had stolen the batteries and sold them to him. Both men were taken into custody and charged after a question and answer session. Their court date is being finalized. Man charged with murder following motorcycle robbery remanded. 24-year-old St. Catherine resident Nicholas Barley, who is accused of the 2022 robbery and the murder of a man in Ferry District in the parish, was remanded when he appeared in court on Wednesday. Barley is answering to charges of murder, robbery with aggravation, illegal possession of firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. When his case came up for mention in the St. Catherine Parish Court, it was transferred to the Gun Court to be mentioned on September 1. Barley, who is also known as Coolibap, was held recently in relation to the death of 34-year-old plumber Dominic Wayne Grant of Cassava Peace, Kingston 8. He was charged on July 3 following a question and answer session. It is alleged that about 1 p.m. on June 11, 2022, Grant was lured to Ferry District by the accused, who declared that he wanted to purchase Grant's 2017 Suzuki motorcycle. Upon arrival at the ferry, the accused and the 2 others allegedly brandished the guns and shot and injured Grant. The accused and one of his cronies reportedly stole the motorcycle and sped away, while a third person escaped on foot in the area. The injured Grant was assisted to the Spanish Town Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The St. Catherine South Police launched an investigation into the matter, which resulted in Barley's arrest and a subsequent charge. Clergyman named as person of interest in probe of mummified woman's death. The Westmoreland Police are seeking a clergyman they say is a person of interest in their investigation of the death of Viola Destin, whose mummified remains were discovered on July 6 in Old Hope District, Little London in the parish. The police say he is Delroy Jones, a Jamaican national, currently believed to be residing in Colorado in the United States of America. Investigators say they believe that Jones may be able to significantly assist with the investigation of the 69-year-old woman's death. They are urging him to make urgent contact with investigators by calling 876-955-2758, police emergency at 119, the NIB tip line at 811, Crime Stop at 311, or by reporting to the nearest police station. Additionally, members of the public who may know Jones's current whereabouts are also being encouraged to contact the police confidentially. Several charges have been laid against the 2 Westmoreland women following the discovery of Destin's mummified body. They are 49-year-old Laverne Weatherburn of Rocky Hill in Sheffield and 54-year-old Gina Robinson of Old Hope District. They have been charged with concealment of a corpse, preventing the lawful burial of a corpse, perverting the course of justice, conspiracy to concealment of a corpse, and the conspiracy to prevent the lawful burial of a corpse. The Savannah Lamar police say Wedderburn saw Destin begging in Savannah Lamar sometime in 2023 and told Robinson about her situation. Robinson and Wedderburn then sought advice from a pastor overseas, and following his instructions, they started to care for Destin. Shortly after, Destin became gravely ill and was moved to Robinson's house in the Old Hope district, where she died on December 10, 2023. The police alleged that following her death, the caregivers opted to conceal the body inside a room at the house and sprinkled it with chemicals and baking soda to keep the stench down. One of Robinson's relatives reportedly stumbled upon the makeshift grave at the house on July 6 and summoned the police. Jamaican government says it hasn't refused the return of any citizen from the U.S. The Jamaican government is denying a statement by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security that suggested it refused to accept the return of a Jamaican man who is among 5 foreign nationals described by the United States as barbaric criminals who have been sent to the small African nation of Eswatini. In a late-night post on X on Tuesday, Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said the men sent to Eswatini, who are citizens of Vietnam, Jamaica, Cuba, Yemen, and Laos, had arrived on a plane but didn't say when or where. In her post, she said the Jamaican man was convicted of murder, sentenced to 25 years confinement, convicted of robbery, sentenced to 6 years confinement, and convicted of possession of a weapon, sentenced to 6 months confinement. She said the 5 are all convicted criminals and the individuals so uniquely barbaric that their home countries refused to take them back. But in a post on X on Wednesday night, Jamaica's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kamina Johnson-Smith, said the government has not refused the return of any of our nationals to Jamaica. She said her ministry was aware of reports in the public domain of the transfer of individuals, purportedly including a Jamaican national, to Eswatini. She said the ministry has initiated inquiries with the U.S. authorities to ascertain the veracity of the reported inclusion of a Jamaican in the transfer. Johnson-Smith said if the reports are confirmed, the government will continue its engagements with the U.S. on the arrangements necessary to facilitate the individual's return to Jamaica. She committed to keeping the public updated as soon as further verified information is obtained. The men were reportedly sent to the small African nation of Eswatini in an expansion of the Trump administration's largely secretive third country deportation program. The U.S. has already deported 8 men to another African country, South Sudan, after the Supreme Court lifted restrictions on sending people to countries where they have no ties. The South Sudanese government has declined to say where those men, also described as violent criminals, are after it took custody of them nearly 2 weeks ago. Women say rapist Kabi's accumulated 100-year sentence too light. Shock and anger rippled through a group of women gathered along Beckford Street in downtown Kingston on Wednesday, one day after a St. Catherine-based taxi driver was sentenced to more than 100 years in prison for sexually abusing his daughter, stepdaughter, and a teenage neighbor. However, the sentences for charges including rape, incest, trafficking persons, and producing child pornography are to run concurrently, meaning he will only serve 33 years and 8 months before being eligible for parole. That struck many as deeply inadequate. Caroline Watson, a vendor and mother of 6 sons, stood near her stall, arms folded, still visibly unsettled by the news, which she said made her think of her own children. That sentence too light. After what him did to those girls, him robbed them of them whole life. Him not deserve to live at all, she said. Watson explained that in her household, she's always been firm on accountability, even if it means turning in her own children. I always tell my boys, if any of them ever try disrespect a woman or child, me nah cover for them. Me a call police myself. Too much of we as mothers turn a blind eye. We are part of the whole problem when we defend wrong, she added. She said this case wasn't just about a single crime, but about a culture that teaches children not to speak and adults not to listen. Some others don't believe the pitney when them talk. Some even blame them. That's why things like this keep happening, because too many people look the other way, she told the news. Her customer Pinky recalled witnessing situations where young girls were dismissed and labeled as liars or troublemakers, even when there were signs that something was wrong. Them say him wouldn't do that, or she too lie. But meanwhile, the child has suffered in silence, she said. The case came to public attention after the mother of one victim found an explicit video on her daughter's phone. Investigations later revealed that the man had not only assaulted the girls himself, but had also taken them to another adult who allegedly abused them, while he either recorded the act or watched. The man pleaded guilty to charges related to his daughter and the stepdaughter, but denied the allegations involving the third child, his neighbor. For Anne-Marie Reed, who sells the drinks and the snacks from a pushcart, the details were almost too much to bear. "Me read the story and me feel sick to my stomach," she said. "A father watch man abuse him own daughter and video it? That worse than animal." Reed applauded the victims for speaking up, lauding them for their bravery. All three women agreed that real justice begins in parenting, in paying attention, and in choosing to protect the children over preserving reputation. We have to change how we listen to children, how we protect them, and how we treat the people who hurt them, said Watson. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.